Votes are being counted in Iran's parliamentary elections. It's the first time the country has gone to the polls since the mass protests over mandatory hijab laws following the death of Mahsa Amini in police custody. Sahar Zand joins me now in the studio, freelance British-Iranian journalist. Sahar, welcome to you. This election is really historically marked, isn't it, by its low turnout. Why?
Yes, in the 45 years of existence of the Islamic Republic, this is the lowest. And we've seen over the years that with each election, at least in the past 20 years, the turnout reduces. It seems like Iranians don't want to take part in the elections because they don't believe that their votes matter. And also, especially with this one, it seems like it's a huge political gesture from the side of the Iranian regime and government. Political gesture, why? Because after the nationwide protests after the killing of Mahsa Amini, which really was the biggest threat to the Iranian regime in years, the crackdown was really heavy. I mean, from the early months, they killed hundreds of people. Ever since then, they've been executing people, and the crackdown continues to this day. Only yesterday was announced that a singer who sang a very popular song was given 3.5 years, nearly 4 years to spend in prison just because he alluded to the protest out on the street. Now, the regime has been trying very hard to get people to come out and vote because they are adamant, they're keen to show to the world that they're still popular, that they're still relevant, that their people want them. But that's exactly one of the main reasons that a lot of the voters have been boycotting. They want to disprove the legitimacy of the regime and prove to the world that they don't want this regime. And that's why many of them have refused to even go and vote. And this is quite embarrassing for the Islamic Republic. From a few weeks ago, they anticipated that this might happen. The Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, did say to people that you have to come and vote. This is your duty. And if you don't, you're giving our enemies more power. And they even left the ballots open for a few hours extra, just so that they would have more people come in and vote. But obviously, based on their own records, only 41% of people voted, and that number should be taken with a pinch of salt. Now, the question is, why such a low turnout? There are several different reasons. Mainly, it's because Iranians are just angry. The economy is a mess. This regime is the same one that has been killing hundreds of people out on the streets for protesting, for fighting for their rights, a lot of them children. This is the same regime that's been executing political prisoners. There is no freedom of speech in Iran. And as I said earlier, Iranians also don't seem to believe that their votes matter. And this is a very important point because, first of all, I want to start with a quote from Mahsa Amini's mother. A while back, she posted on her Instagram story saying that if our votes mattered, if our votes made a difference, they wouldn't allow us to vote. Now, that's something that really resonates with a lot of Iranians when I speak to them. There is a huge lack of belief that a meaningful change can happen because, for example, with the parliament, they don't have political parties like we do here. Everybody has to be aligned with the clerics, with the conservative. And for anybody, any candidate to want to become a candidate and to be voted for, they have to go through this rigorous vetting process. And they are judged by essentially 3 things by this group of clerics called the Guardian Council. One is their commitment to Islam. 2 is their belief in an Islamic republic and Islamic law. And once you pass these 3, then you can become a candidate. And that only shows you the priorities for choosing these candidates to even run in the first place.
All right. And just so that we know when we should expect those results to be known.
They're counting them as we speak. But honestly, based on what I said, it doesn't seem to matter who gets elected because the parliament doesn't really have much of a power. And the second election, there were 2, is for the Assembly of Experts, which is a whole other thing. And all of these are honestly, people think that nothing is really going to change.